Hey guys, okay, we're going to look at 1-06, okay, and it's geometric proofs. This is the standard that we've been trying to build you guys up to. So we have to look at a couple of definitions first, many of which we are familiar with. So first is the shared side, okay? The shared side is simply saying that if you have two shapes, such as triangles, sharing a side, the side can be congruent to itself, okay, or equal to itself. This is also called the reflexive property. Just recognize that word when you see it. We also have vertical angles, right? These are angles that are across from each other. When they are across from each other in this X form, right, they are congruent. So these two are also a set of vertical angles. We have angle bisector, okay? This is new. Bisector means to cut in half. So we're cutting an angle in half to create two equal angles, or two congruent angles. Now I have midpoint. Midpoint is a point, right, that is in the middle of a segment that creates two equal parts. All right, not to be confused with a segment bisector, which is a line that cuts another line into two equal parts. Okay, we're going to need these definitions to do our proofs. So let's look at example number 1. Okay, what they want us to prove is a triangle ABC is congruent to triangle ADC. Given these facts, okay, given these facts. So, right, this is provable. We just have to find a way to do it. So let's see what facts they gave us. Okay, for this video, I'm going to try these crayons here. So first they tell us that triangle side AB is congruent to AD. So I'm going to mark that off. Okay, and I am marking that off knowing that it's given. So I'm going to make that line 1 given. Okay, I'm just organizing my information this way. Now, right, C is the midpoint of BD. So C is the midpoint of BD. So that means that this part and this part are congruent. Okay, and that is the result of this. So I'm going to make this line 2. Come on, we could write, there we go. I'm going to make this line 2 and say it's because of midpoint. Midpoint. The red obviously doesn't write as well as the blue. Okay? Next, right, we need one more part here. Well, okay, I have a shared side right here. Right? That is a shared side, right? Or reflexive, whichever word you want to use. We're not going to get hung up on vocabulary here. So that is the reflexive or reflexive property or shared side. And we're going to say that's line 3. Okay, so now, right, do I have enough to prove that this triangle is congruent? Well, the triangles seem to be congruent by side, side, side. Side, side, side. So the answer is yes, I do have enough. Okay? Now, when we write out these proofs, we have to remember that the first part is the given, right? That's always the first line. So this is always the first line. And this has to be the last. Okay? So now I'm going to write this up. And we do have to rewrite everything. Has to be grammatically correct. So I'm going to say AB is congruent to AD. And C, I'm going to make this line 1. Okay, let's get that out of the way. C is the midpoint of BD. And I'm going to say that is given. All right, next, right? Before here, we could barely read, but we got it written down, is that as a result of C being the midpoint, BC and AC are congruent. So, BC is congruent to AC. And I can write because C is the midpoint. go. I am backing up my statement with a fact. Backing up my statement with a fact. Okay, next. Right, line 3 was the shared side. So I am going to say that AC is congruent to AC because of the shared side. I'm actually supposed to number these on this side too. So that is a shared side. Then, number 4, right, that's enough information to prove that these two triangles are congruent. Look, here is a side, here is a side, and here is a side. That is going to list all these 3 sides, okay? There's the information, right? So now I could say, for line 4, the triangle ABC is congruent to triangle ADC. That's line 4. Okay, let's do the next one. Okay, next. This one's slightly different. Okay, we have given that angle A is congruent to angle D, BE bisects AD. We want to prove that triangle ABC is congruent to DEC. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Well, first I'm going to mark off, let me use my crayons again. First I'm going to mark off angle A and angle D. Okay, that's line 1. That is given. Okay, then BE bisects AD. So this is a segment bisector. BE, this line, is cutting AD in half. So I could say that this, all right, line 2, segment bisector. Okay, now, right, I also have here in the middle vertical angles. Okay, I'm going to make that line 3. Well, when I look, angle, side, angle, angle, side, angle. That's enough evidence to prove this through angle, side, angle. And I'm going to say that is line 4. All right, let me write this up. So, line 1 has to be the given. So angle A is congruent to angle D. BE bisects AD, and that is given. All right, let's see, line 2, right, we said that BE bisects AD. As a result, AC is congruent to DC. AC is congruent to DC. And that is because, right, BE, you can just say because BE bisects AD. Notice how I'm repeating that given, okay? Because I'm using that given to back up this fact. Line 3, we said we got vertical angles. So ACB is congruent to DCE. DCE. Okay, so line 3, that's occurring because they're vertical angles. Okay, another statement I'm making. This is another statement I'm making with a fact. Number 4, right, that's enough information to say that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEC, and that is because of angle, side, angle. Okay, let's do one more. Example 4, okay, number 4. Okay, this one's pretty tricky because this time they want us to prove that this angle is congruent to that angle based on what they gave us. Okay, so what we got here is O is the midpoint of MQ. So knowing that, right, I have MQ, whoops, where am I? Yeah, okay, OQ and MO are congruent. Okay, that's line 2, and that's because of midpoint. Okay, now O is also the midpoint of NP. That means NO and NP. That's also because of midpoint. Midpoint. Okay, next, I also have the vertical angles here. Okay, now here's where things get a little tricky. All right, I do not have evidence yet that angle N and angle P are congruent. But what I do have evidence of is that this triangle is congruent to that. Right? This triangle is congruent to this one by side, angle, side. So this triangle is congruent to this one by side, angle, side. Knowing that these triangles are the same, as a result, this part here and this part here has to be the same, okay? Because the triangles are the same. Triangles are the same, okay? I'm kind of ran out of room there, all right? Because the triangles are the same. So I'm going to write that up. So first I have to write the given. So 1, O is midpoint of MQ. And O is midpoint of NP. That's given. Okay. 2. We have NO is congruent to PO because of midpoint. 3. MO is congruent to QO because of midpoint. You can write these both on the same line. You can say NO is congruent to PO and MO is congruent to QO, both because of their midpoint. Number 4, we said that was evidence enough to prove that these triangles are congruent. So triangle MNO is congruent to QPO, and that's because of side, angle, side. So that gives me enough evidence. That gives me enough evidence to support this claim. Because if these two triangles are the same, then these parts have to be the same. So I'm going to say because triangle MNO is congruent to triangle QPO. Okay, kind of squeezed in there. I hope you guys find this video helpful.